We are live, gentlemen. All right. It's indeed a very, very good morning to you. It's 42 minutes past 7, but 42 minutes past 7. Kwa njia unaweza sema how many minutes? 16 minutes, 18 minutes to 8. It's a pleasure to have you. Again, this is a wiki edition of the of the 5th of August 2022, tarehe 5 mwezi ni wa 7 mwezi ni wa 8 mwaka 2022. Only how many days to election? 3 days. General elections, countdown to the 3 days general elections. Masiku zinasonga. Tulikuwa tunasemanga in 5 years time. Leo tunasema in 4 days time, in 3 days time. And kesho itakuwa in 2 days time. Alafu kesho kutu inakuwa in 1 day time. Alafu inafika. Alafu matangazo inafanywa. Alafu wakulia wanalia. Wakusaga meno wanasaga meno. Wa demonstration wanafanya. Na wakukubali uchaguzi pia wanakubali. Wakuingia status wanaingia. Na wakuingia opposition pia. Basi. Wana kwanza kuingia mdogo. Wewe tuko na Daktari EKURU AUKOT ambaye ni party leader Third Way Alliance na presidential aspirant as well. Tuko na bwana KIRUI wakili. It's been a while. Maliza mwaka na kitu kabla hajakuja. It's over here actually. Mwaka imepita. Na pia tuko na ndugu yetu kapteni and all the way from the United States of America. He's joined us this morning. He's coming in and he came in to cast his vote.
Oh yes.
And the thing is, a lot of Kenyans, there've been a conversation around the country that the Kenyans first of all are going to vote, and the other Kenyans who have not decided who they are going to vote for. Mm-hmm. If you find someone who's coming in all the way from America to come and vote, na wewe uko tu hapa nyumbani, umetulia, umekaa, utaki kupiga kura. Wewe unafaa kutwangwa makofi. Hivyo ndio Kibaki angesema. Haya, kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu basi tukirudi tunakuja kuangalia salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you. Glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this conversation. As we start off, may be with us and when we finish, may your glory come back to you. For you pray, trusting and believing. Amen and amen. Haya. Daktari EKURU AUKOT anasemanga tunaombanga alafu tukimaliza tunaingia matusi direct. Hapo tutaingia.
I was just about to say, does God really guide us in the decisions we make about the country? Why do we have so much vitriol? Yeah. I was asking, does God really guide us, or are we really guided by God? Because typical of Kenyans, before any conversation, let's pray. Before food, let's pray. Even in political rallies, let's pray. But immediately after that, the vitriol kicks in. I think we are a dishonest society. We should stop praying. Because if you are invoking the name of God and the Bible and those, aspects of goodness, yet our society is characterized by all the bad things, especially if you look at the politics right now. Matusi. People actually, preparing for some sort of violence. You can see the government is already sending, trucks and all over, So sometimes I wonder, are we really the good people we portray ourselves religiously, or we're just con men and con women in this country?
There's a lot of dishonest.
Yes.
There's a lot of dishonesty when it comes to that, because even when we come to the religious institutions themselves, you find there's a lot of dishonest leaders in the church or in the religious institutions. So we need to check ourselves first before pointing onto others. We need to really focus into pointing ourselves. Are we honest enough? I think no. Yeah, I think no.
And this is why Captain and KIRUI, I've always said that I think when it comes to Kenyan politics, witchcraft is real. Even though religiously we say that we are not, we don't believe in witchcraft and the devils and the ghosts and all that. But something goes wrong about us when it comes to politics. We lose our reasoning. We lose our intellectual acumen to be able to comprehend things and look at society the way it ought to be. So there is, for me, I think, the need to prick our conscience as a nation and as a people. And maybe the reason why is because, the conversation is not starting from the top. It's like you in your own family setting. As a parent, as a elder brother, you ought to guide your family or your siblings or your younger ones to behave themselves in a certain way. But unfortunately, this is not happening in our society today because really leadership is so feckless, is full of animosity against each other. So it actually fails the very test of saying, you are offering leadership, because if society is not chaperoned in a certain direction that bears some good fruits, then really there is a challenge, and that's why we have normalized certain things in this country. For example, theft of resources, or public resources, what we call corruption. It's now almost agreed that
normal.
Everybody is corrupt, just that you don't have an opportunity, or everybody is a thief until you get that opportunity.
Daktari, let me maybe define opinion.
Yeah.
One, I may not call it witchcraft per se. I may call it emotional mindset. Yeah. Our voting is driven by emotions. Our thinking is driven by emotions. It is how I feel against the realities.
Yeah,
it's emotional.
Yeah, but see, emotions must also be annexed to a certain outcome. When you're emotional about something, you probably want to achieve a certain outcome, which is probably desirable. But our emotional investment is so negative when it comes to politics, because today people are living in the same squalor, same situations. We'll hate each other. Next door neighbor will hate each other because of so and so. Yes, that cannot for me be emotional investment, because which is desirable. It's negative.
Allow me to jump in hapo kidogo.
Yeah.
First of all, Gerald, congratulations on this studio.
Thank you, man.
I'm seeing you. One of the few ways of benefited from the Jubilee government. Apart from the COVID billionaires, pongezi sana ndio.
I'm saying ideas.
Kuchanga moja mbili.
We're very happy.
Thank God, yes.
We thank God, yeah. And yes, I'm good to be back on the show. It's been so long. I think you said a year plus. But so much has happened since I was last on. I said today I must come. Last month, if there was ever a day I had to come to Ongei Mambo, it's before we undertake this election on the 9th, yeah? So that we can actually at least educate voters, yeah? And we have an open and frank discussion on where we are as a country, what to expect, and where we are going. Now, Bwana Aukot, Dr. Daktari was talking about the secular, the Christian nature of Kenya. And it's very apt that you brought this up just now. The last 1 or 2 weeks, that's been the discussion that's been dominating the public discourse. Is Kenya a secular state? In the constitution it is. We are a secular state in law. But in practice, we are a de facto Christian state. If you ask me, I mean, we have all religions in Kenya. We have Hindus and Muslims, and all religions are welcome. But we are predominantly, in terms of population majority, Christians. Now, I'm not, is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's actually subjective. Yeah, I mean, as a Christian, I'll say fine. But as a lawyer, I'll be like, no. I mean, we're an open society. And you'll recall the other day, the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila, he actually made it very clear that Kenya is a secular state. Yes. But just the following day, the DP countered. If he went even so far as to get emotional in church, I think he was actually sending a strong message to the electorate that this is where I stand. Because I'm a Christian, maybe. And I don't know if it's going to be effective. Let's wait and see what happens. And it's going to be interesting times ahead.
Yes, I think it has been effective, because I have seen even Honorable Mother Karua hit it hard and saying, do you expect me to follow your God if at all this is how you behave on the contrary?
Indeed.
But the question is, Aaron, I think on issues of religion, it gets to a point where we need to have a very objective conversation, because you realize that every other person has their own definition of how Christians should be like, or of how a person who loves God should be like. And when I see EKURU is wearing a cap that does not look like a cap, like, how can you wear this? And you say you're a Christian. Is there a certain definition of how a religious person should be?
Let me tell you, Bitoka. There is a course when I was in high school, Cabernet Boys High School back in the days. There is a course we used to do called Ethics and Religion. Ethics and Religion. And that course gave me the opportunity to study, at least to understand, not to study in depth, but at least to understand all the religions in the world. Sikhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and all that. There is one conclusion I drew from that course, Ethics and Religion. It is do good, avoid bad. Simple.
The golden rule.
Yes, do good and avoid bad. If you deduce all of them, Christianity, Islam, whatever, it comes down to the idea of you must do good and avoid bad. So all this drama you see, this drama of building huge temples and whatever, churches, everywhere, it does not matter. The way people play acrobatics in church, the miracles they perform, it does not matter. Because like Captain has said, there is also a lot of dishonesty among the religious groups today. Because today I would have expected religious institutions to actually moralize our politicians. The way in which they're inciting the populace. Yes. The people of God should be able to stand for the truth. After all, doesn't the Bible say that the truth shall set you free? So why are some of them saying, oh, let's pray for the nation? So what? I mean, yes, let's pray for the nation. But let's also point out the wrongs that people are doing. Because our failure to do that, Bitok, may result in catastrophe. It normalizes the way things are happening in this society. And today, I don't like the readings that, some people have moved out of Singishu, some people have moved out of central Kenya, they have gone to the villages, so they will not be able to cast their democratic right because they are scared because of the manner in which the politicians are speaking. And Captain, one of the reasons why I think we are a pretentious society, when you go to church, I don't know when was the last time you went to church, but every time I go to church, which is very rare, I observe a lot. I look at the way people wananyenyekea. You see people like looking very humble, and they have come from all ethnic formations, and they say we are children of God, we are in the house of God. But as soon as they step outside that church, they become Turukana, Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luya, they become Kenya Kwanza, which is not a problem, but at least don't emotionally, negatively invest in it emotionally against the other person. Because that's why for me I say, did we even listen to the preachings in the church or to the guidance from the pastor or the reverend? Why not just have a conversation where we can agree to disagree, but we still live together? I mean, when I went to Cabernet Boys High School way back in the 90s, I was actually the only Turkana in the entire school. Until about 2-3 years later, when another first year came. But for me, I went to school with people from various ethnic, and it never occurred to me at that time that I was in class with the Luos, I was in class with Kikuyus, and we had people from all over. In fact, some of the judges of the High Court right now, some of them were my classmates, people in the media and all that. And for me, it never occurred to me that I'm a Turkana, they are Luo, they are Kikuyus. But many years later, when now I became to engage politically and to make choices about the kind of leadership in this country, you are reminded that I'm reminded, man, you are a Turkana, you are this. It's unfortunate. And like I said, Captain, the problem is from the top. If the top doesn't, guide us to behave in a certain way, that's why in Kenya today, when I was speaking to Professor, I can't remember his name, but a very good professor from Kikuyu, he was telling me, EKURU, stop using the word nation state, because we are not a nation state. There is no value that binds us together. We are a country. Geographically, we are just a country which is a conglomerate of many ethnic identities that found themselves accidentally in a place called Kenya, geographically. But nation states have got certain values that binds them together. That binds the nations together.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Allow me to mention just two things out of this Bonabi talk. One is that personally, I go to church. I am born again, and I love it. But there are things that my trainer in media called Dr. Eli Arop, who is a pastor from Sayara radio station, he trained me in a program he used to call Mzalendo. I think it was borrowed from the idea of Jehu Nyungwana. You cannot be saying I am born again, or you go to church and pray, or your religion and pray, and even proclaim to be a Christian or a follower of your God. And then immediately, I don't want to see KIRUI. Yes. I don't want to see his cup of tea. I don't want to even share when I have enough for me and some even to throw away, but my neighbor's children are going hungry. So these are the things that we really need to fight. These are the things that we really need to fight. Je, huu ni ungwana? Tunasema ya kwamba umeokoka ama unamfuata Mungu wako, lakini your neighbor is hungry, you are stealing from his land, you are stealing from his business, you are borrowing and not paying back. These are some of the basics that we need to look at. And I look at the Muslims, our brothers and sisters, when they have their maombi, they give so much. Yes. Yeah, they give so much. They share. Are these some of the basics that we need to maybe look at? Germany, as we continue discussing on this issue, let us not be emotional as a country. Let us take our positions and stand. Let us pay our to Caesar whatever belongs to him. And let us not steal from the poor, like these land issues that we are hearing today.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. But I see nothing wrong with emotional investment, so long as it's good. I mean, love is emotional investment, So, liking is emotional investment for a friend. So absolutely nothing wrong with emotional investment. The only thing I'm opposed to is, you can emotionally invest negatively. And especially when it comes to our politics, that's what I disagree with.
That's true.
Yeah. We must be emotional.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. I mean, we're emotional beings, we're human beings, we're emotional creatures by nature. Mm. But just to touch on that issue of the church, in my opinion, sad as it may be, I think the church has been bought and paid for. Yeah, and the allegiances lie more often than not to the highest bidder. If my mom is watching this, she's going to be very mad at me. but I think it has to be said. It has to be said. We strayed away from the tenets of Christianity, as it were, like for the foundation of Christianity, and where we are right now, it's a very big lacuna.
Yes.
So you find these days that even the church has become involved in politics, and you find that there are sections of the church that espouse different political beliefs depending on who their congregants are, or people that espouse their faith, or who gives them the most money. So these days, whenever I see like even religious leaders trying to, as the Dr. alluded to earlier on, he said like the religious leaders should try maybe to come and tell people, temper yourselves, we're one country. Sometimes it's so transparent because you see that they actually have a certain stance that they're trying to. Yeah. They become political right now. I can tell you, I can go to a church and I can tell this is a guy of Azimio, and this is a guy of Kenya Kwanza, and this is a guy of Wachakoya, if it exists. But then again,
even as we enter that conversation on the church, the thing is, for the longest time, the church has been accused of being neutral in face of injustices. Look at apartheid in South Africa. For the longest time, there is a community that was planted for many years, and the church was there. It was preaching. Look at colonialism, for instance. The church has been accused that they are the ones who came with the Bible, gave Africans the Bible, and took their land. Yeah. Now, isn't it time then that even the church took sides?
No. Politically, they must be.
Karir, on the side of truth,
I think,
the church must stand.
Yes, we take a side.
Because even Jesus Christ, biblically, took sides when it comes to the side of truth. So it is cowardice of the church today to look to see how politicians are actually inciting the public and not calling them out, and not saying that, no, what you're doing is wrong. A man of God or a woman of God must be able to speak to the truth. Based on their own belief. Because if you don't speak the truth, then what beliefs do you have? Yeah. Then it means you don't even believe in the so-called holy book that you used to preach. So for me, there's absolutely nothing wrong. If our politics is bad, let's call it a spade a spade. Listen, Reverend, is it Choge? The man who was killed back in the days.
Muge.
Reverend Muge. Spoke the truth. He spoke truth to power. I mean, doesn't the Bible say that? Speak truth to power.
Yeah, those guys anymore like that.
Unfortunately, we don't have many. But listen, just not long ago, there was, Archbishop Zacchaeus of Kisumu, who flatly told Ruto, I'm sorry, we don't need your money because we believe that your money is not clean money. Don't donate to us. Why do you have to bring money to church? Give the 10% if you must, but you see these millions of carry. So they are still hope. They still hope career. There are still clergy who actually Yeah?
KIRUI.
Yeah, we still have some.
KIRUI.
We still have.
Yeah. So really, I think for me, what we need to do here is to encourage as many of them as possible to come out. Because if all of them spoke the truth, because this, let me tell you, reference pastors, churches is a constituency on its own. And these are people who meet regularly, not in political rallies, in the house of God. So why not speak about the good that we want in our society? Why not speak about the bad people? Like now, for example, I would have expected the church to condemn the fake videos circulated by Junet Mohammed and Hassan Joho, because these videos are likely to cost the lives of innocent Kenyans. Why can somebody in the church speak about that and condemn what Junet Mohammed and Hassan Joho have done? Because they have choreographed these videos that actually portray, for example, the deputy president and the candidate for UDA as a person who is instigating violence. That is wrong. You know, and let me tell you, Bitok, KIRUI and Captain. One of the things about our society, Kenyan society, and for me, since 2016, when I decided I'm going to, make my contribution politically speaking, I realized one thing. Kenyans do not like brutal honesty. Kenyans do not like straight talk. The moment you speak about your mind, the moment you take a position, you are characterized. Last week when I was in this show, I said that I will not vote for anybody that Uhuru Kenyatta supports. I was already branded UDA, even though I'm a party leader of Third Way Alliance Kenya. And they are trying to take away my right to vote. Because we discussed 3 options here in this show last week. There are people who are saying cancel the election. I told them, no, I disagree with you. There are people who say, I will not vote. I told them, I still disagree with you. Today, as I was coming, I was listening to Kamene, Goro, and Obina, speaking about 9% of Kenyans who are undecided. And some of them are saying between 9 to 10%. And saying, I don't know what to do. I told them, no, you must vote. And if you must vote, voting does not necessarily mean you are supporting that person. You are making a choice, because I must exercise my democratic right on the 9th of August. And I will go all the way to Kapedo Primary to vote for somebody, for a candidate. But you can be sure that I will not vote certain people.
Guarantee.
That is guarantee.
All right, moving on quickly, and the conversation that has been going on across the country is the issues of rigging. Kila mtu anasema kinaibiwa. You saw the deputy president yesterday raised issues, among them that the administration system within the government is being used to manipulate the voting process. We've been also seeing one Moses Kuria calling out chiefs every day. Jana aliita wa Dharakaniti usiku. Ndio jamaa ache kununua ID. So, only 3 days to the general elections, there seems to be some very tense among the politicians, and most of them are claiming ikitu kinaibiwa. Starting off right from George, do you think it's possible to iba ikitu?
It is, but in a very technical manner. First of all, let me address this issue of night meetings that have been going on. From what I gather, they have actually been taking place. If you see what, but the government is trying to spin it. The other day, Kibicha has been on the PS Kibicha internal security has been on. He's been on radio, on media stations the whole week trying to spin it. He's been saying the reason we're having those meetings is to sensitize the state apparatus and basically prepare security for the election. Whether that is true or not, I don't know. But from what I hear, the chiefs are actually being weaponized. Chiefs and provincial administration, they're being weaponized and being used, and they're buying IDs. This is what I'm told. I have no verifiable information, so I don't come and arrest me after this show.
You have to be very careful with that.
Yeah, but from what I understand, actually, there is a lot of intimidation that is going on on the ground. Chiefs are actually going out, mobilizing supporters, buying IDs, of the for people in the strongholds that are perceived to be anti-Azimio. IDs are being purchased, and voters are being coerced and intimidated and being told that you better toe the line if you know what's good for you. That's one. Regarding whether the election will be stolen per se, you know how we need to give IBC a chance, because I think a lot of let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Everyone keeps talking about how KIRUI itaibiwa. But if you look at the mechanisms that IBC has put in place over the last 5 years, it's actually very difficult to steal an election. If you look at it at the granular level, from the time you enter the polling station, the ballot boxes are clear, you vote, your agents are there. You know, for an election to be stolen would require collusion by IBC on an institutional level. yeah, everyone would have to be complicit in it, including all the agents of the parties involved. So guys keep saying that when it's time to count votes, lights are going to be switched off. Are you going to do that across 46,000 polling stations? Around Kanu era, days of Mlolongo and the black ballot boxes. It is very hard to steal an election right now. So we need to give Chebukati and his team the benefit of the doubt. Let's give them a chance. Everyone keeps saying, if we keep poking holes in everything they do. For the other day, the guys have started talking about this KPMG audit that was done the other day about missing voters and whatnot.
And there is no returning officers. There are 10,000.
Let me tell you something, Gerald.
Returning officers.
There is no election in this world that is absolutely perfect. You can try at least get at least 99.9%.
But what is the error of margin? 10,000 ghost returning officers?
No. Well, I'm not saying that is acceptable. Okay. I'm just talking hypothetically. But my point is this, Gerald. Like, let's vote first. Okay. If we keep poking holes in the process before we even begin, then we'll never vote. Okay. Yeah, there's even talk of now some guys don't have to have us postpone the election over some nonsense. No. We are voting on Tuesday. Yeah. Let's give IBC a chance, and the process let take it from there. Okay. Captain.
That is very true. Taking from there before Daktari, you know, he's the head of a political party and a presidential candidate.
He has tested the waters before.
He has tested the waters. But one of the things that we need to do is let us get out and vote. That is your constitutional right. And that is the best thing that you can do. Whatever happens after that, it is upon the IEBC, and we are telling them on their face. Let us not forget that there are people who went to ICC because of a political issue that went bad. Yeah? And it is possible to go through that way if you play around with a political election. Go out and vote. IBC promise Kenyans that you're going to count the votes in time and give us the results in time. Let us not do what happened in KICC some years back when the former chairperson said, I don't know. I didn't know who won.
Yes.
That should be, we should avoid that. They have done a lot of good things. There's a problem that maybe later in future, Daktari, we may need to look at, where we can separate the elections of maybe the president from this other very huge booklets. And then it will be easy to count the elections of the votes for the president and maybe the governors, and then count the others in a different time, so that we can have a shorter time instead of keeping people in suspense for hours. The other thing that we need to check is the voter register. Right now, the court said that we should use the manual register. Yes. What is the difference between the manual register and the computerized, the digitalized register? We went through the process of registering, and it took a lot of work. Daktari and KIRUI, let me tell you, for we who are in the diaspora, I live in Texas. From Texas to the nearest registration center is about 33 hours drive to go and register as a voter. People did that.
33 hours?
It's 33 hours drive.
For diaspora voting?
Yes, that is direct in the US. Wow. Because I have either to go to LA or to Washington, D.C. or to New York. It takes a lot of sacrifice. When somebody comes and plays with that, I have a right to be angry. Promise Kenyans that the elections will be free and fair, and the results will be announced. But for the candidates, Brana Raila, Molo Odinga, Daktari, and Ruto, promise Kenyans that you're going to accept the results, because that is where the problem comes. We Kenyans don't have an issue. I don't count votes. When they are counted, do we accept the results?
Okay, good question.
There are a couple of things here that we need to
understand. And I would also want you to look at the manual register ruling that was done yesterday.
We will.
And what it means actually for the election process. Yes.
I will. I think for me, there are a couple of things here. And this is why I think we need to admonish the politicians who claim that there is voter rigging, there is this and that happening. The first thing they need to do, in my view, is to draw the attention of other institutions. For example, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. It is not enough for you to claim these things in the rallies. I want them to file a report before the DCI or DCIO of the area. On the basis of that complaint, then DCIO can kick in and investigate. That complaint, now you can hold Kinoti and his people accountable. Why have you not investigated this complaint that we raised? Okay? And also give evidence. That way we'll actually begin to streamline the manner in which we do election in this country.
And you raised the issue of the video that Joho and Junet they circulated, the heavily edited video that was inciting. Should they not be behind bars as we speak?
Well, yes, they should be, or at least not behind bars, but at least they should have been summoned by now to record a statement and be told what is the veracity or authenticity of this video that you've been circulating.
Yes.
At least I will expect
And what is the intention?
DCI to kick in.
Yeah.
Especially during this time, because Kibicho and Matiang'i have been talking tough.
Yes.
They have been even deploying security forces elsewhere in this country. So with a video like that, I would have expected Joho and Junet to have been summoned by now.
Immediately.
And even to be asked explain this video, and for the cybercrime department of the DCI to actually kick in and look into that. So that's one thing. Secondly, I want to say that let's not lose context, the history. In 2017, the Supreme Court found out that there were irregularities and illegalities that were committed in the transmission of results.
Yes.
Nobody was prosecuted. We are hearing the same thing today. It's becoming the norm to allow people to commit irregularities and illegalities and get away with it. So for me, I'm saying we are also not learning from the past. So we need to push for that, because voter buying is criminal offense in nature.
Yes.
But to my brother Captain, I wish people had accepted, or the MCS had passed Punguza Mizigo Bill, because the Punguza Mizigo Bill of 2019 wanted to automate voting.
Like in America.
Exactly. So that you don't have to travel all the way from Texas to come to Nairobi, or you don't have to do 33 hours. I'm going to do about 10 hours going to Turkana on Tuesday or Monday to go and vote.
Yes.
I could vote in the comfort of my house from my phone. Because like I've given this example so many times. Every day, Kenyans transact 25 billion through M-Pesa. I can trust to send Kirui 300,000 today on M-Pesa. Naipote. Yeah? And this is something we do every day. So what is wrong with just voting every 5 years? Just go down, drop down button, president, tick.
Will that work, Doctor?
It will work.
Because of the video of Kenyans.
It will work. Kirui, we experimented it. When we are collecting signatures for Punguza Mizigo and Bitokia will tell you, we automated the system of registration. We uploaded all the 48,000 polling stations, all the 47 counties, all the 290 constituencies in an app. And we put measures into it. And you put in your voter details, starting from your ID, your name as they are in the register. If you don't get any correct, for example, if you get your ID wrong, you won't proceed the next step. If you don't vote your county where you are registered or your constituency, you don't proceed the next step. So this thing is doable. We transfer money from our mobiles. We buy tickets. We use our credit cards on IT. So what is the point of investing so much in IT and infrastructure in this country? Our whole ministry that gobbles billions of Kenya shillings. But when it comes to an election,
they don't want to.
We don't want. Now,
actually, Safaricom even uses your voice to verify your identity.
Exactly.
Or even the eye. Yes. The phone, you just look at it like this, it will like that.
Fingerprints.
That means you can get the fingerprints. Look here.
But still, there's an issue Daktari is raising about DCI and DCIO and the security arms. And Abbas Digune is asking here, what if the summoners are players in the game or scheme? And I think that's where the problem is. What if the summoners, you said they should have been summoned. And he's asking, what if the summoners are players in the game or scheme of things?
You see, we ought to have faith in our institution. And you see, the manner in which they carry the investigation, the manner in which they account for their action is what will give us the confidence that actually they have done the right thing. But you see, this inertia on their part, being acquiescent and just accepting the way things are, is what gives us suspicion. Because by now we'll expect DCI to have kicked in. They are independent. Remember, under the Constitution of Kenya, they are independent, organs of the state. So they don't have to wait for even us Wananchi to tell them to do this. But now that there's an outcry out there from Wananchi, from the political class, what else are you waiting for, Mr. Kinoti?
Unfortunately, they are independent constitutionally. But the problem is, as we have seen, when I see the Minister of Internal Security behind a microphone in a political event, what will I say? He is either part of that particular team that is holding that rally, and it is unfortunate. I wish they don't even appear. It is just like the way people are saying, if the president was not siding with any party, be a statesman, be neutral. If you don't want to support one candidate, then keep quiet and say, whatever you people decide, I will hand over power. Because he is holding the instruments of government right now. And there is no way his minister will go against him. There is no way all his lieutenants will go against him. So it's quite unfortunate. On the issue of digitalizing or automation of the process, we need to go that way. And that is why, as the old guards are handing over to the new generation, we need to think that way and seriously, because Kenya, we have bright minds. Let us accept to automate. Today in the US, I can vote from here, where I am right now. I can participate in the next primaries in November when I'm in
From Kenya?
Yes.
George.
What we call mail-in ballot. Mail-in ballot is you sign your documents and post them by the mail. They will count them. I don't have to go to a polling station. In the last general election, I was one of the people who were doing the election process. I was not a returning officer, but just an officer, an election officer. But people didn't have to come to the polling station. We can do that. It is possible.
All right, George.
Let me tell you why I disagree with that. You know, Kenyans are inherently very suspicious people. Yeah? And I mean, elections must be free and fair, and they also must be seen to be free and fair. So if we go to...
And we must see the ballot, man.
Yeah, we must see the ballot. Yeah? So if we go the route of the digital version, I agree, in theory it can work. However, in practice, people will say, where is the physical vote? How do I know that someone has not voted on my behalf or on behalf of my dead granddad's...
It's nobody who has your fingerprints, guys.
I understand that, but the people on the ground understand that, you see. Yeah, so that's why I believe the process should at least be manual to some extent, at least for the aspect of counting physical votes. That's my stance. For the foreseeable future, yeah?
You and I know that in our practice of law, these days, even applying for even a certificate of something, you go e-citizen. These are all forms that are already there. So the ballot can still be digitized. Just like the way today, even your own driving license is digitized. So really, listen, this is the age of technology. Yeah. This is ICT age. We cannot run away from it. You know, way back in 1999, when I was a student of law in development, there was a professor from India called Professor Upendra Bakshi. And I never really comprehended at that time when he was saying that in not too long ago, I mean, in not too many years to come, we'll be cyborgs. I never internalized the word cyborg at that time. And so I said, Upendra, what do you mean by cyborg? And that the people will be so hooked to technology, it will be their lifeline. Today, you go to a restaurant, or go even to, even just in your own family, you have children. Everybody is with their gadgets.
It's become a fifth limb.
Today, I just call my girls, you are cyborgs. Because they don't have time for you. So really, we cannot divorce ourselves, Kirui, from technology. It actually, in a considerable extent, defines our lives today.
It does.
Look at us even here in the studio. We're having a conversation, but within seconds, we are all looking at our phones. We are all looking at our WhatsApps. So, really, we cannot run away from technology. I think the sooner we embrace technology as defining partly defining our lives, the better. And for me, like I said, let's on a balance of proportionality. It's only once every 5 years. We use technology almost every 1 hour. Yes. Almost every minute in our lives. So what is this magic? What is this fear we have of just embracing this technology every 5 years to just vote? And India, which is a population of over 1.3 billion people, do you know they return their vote within 4 hours?
Kazi meisha.
Because they embrace technology.
and you will never hear an election petition to the Supreme Court of India. You see, the problem in Kenya is that we have allowed our election and the governance of this country to be the business of a few interested individuals or their families.
Underline the word interested.
Interested, vested interest. It is about the interest. For example, you talk about statesmanship, of the lack of statesmanship by President Uhuru Kenyatta. The word statesmanship is alien in our concept. Okay. The people who are in government today do not understand what statesmanship means, what it means to be a statesman. They don't care about what a legacy is. They don't care about what it means to be counted. The only people, in my view, who unconsciously cared about what it means to be counted, I think the Mau freedom fighters. Because they did what they did out of the love of the country and for their society. Today, we speak about the Mau freedom fighters, we speak about the Dedan Kimathi, we speak about all those people. Today, someone like Eliud Kipchoge unconsciously, loves this country, because when he runs for Kenya and wins those gold medals, this is a man who will speak about. But some of these politicians, we speak about them in the negative. So the word statesmanship really does not... It's not a vocabulary within the political class in Kenya today. It's about how do I protect my interest. The reason today Uhuru Kenyatta is such an angry man and is shoving down the throats of Kenyans, a man called Raila Odinga, who he's been abusing not long ago, calling him Mganga, calling him this and that, Raila on the other calling him. See, they are playing with the mindset of Kenyans because they know the psyche of Kenyans is this. So I think in the tackle, what we do is we try to tackle the Kenyan mindset as well. Yes. We tell them, wake up and smell the coffee. You will be used. After the 9th, these guys will be laughing at each other. They'll be laughing with each other. Their children will be going to the same school. And none of you guys who wants to kill each other today will be lining up in State House to share in their salary. You will not.
There's something I want to bring in even as we close on the discussion on the election. There's a proposal here from San Kibet. And he's saying, I'm thinking of coming up with a blockchain electronic voting system where a voter moves with his or her information and votes anywhere in the globe. Results will be real time, and blockchain is the art to crack complex system. No, people are not ready for change. Now, we're having a conversation with Ian yesterday, Captain Ian. He mentioned that he has come because it's a revolutionary moment. You see, that he came all the way from America to come and vote because it's a revolutionary moment. Now, I want to start from that. What does this election mean for Kenyans? What does this election mean for each one of us? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for you, Dr. What does it mean for you, George? What does it mean for you, Ian? What does this election mean for you?
Thank you. Let me start because I think we have legal minds and brains here. One of the things that I would say is if Kenya goes through a peaceful election and a transition of power, the economy will skyrocket. Okay. We need to hold that dearly. Okay. There's a lot of things that are going on in Kenya.
Let's get
today.
Closer to your mic and focus
there are so many things going on today in Kenya. The opportunities that are in Kenya today are enormous. So the only thing that will break that is the elections. Because if we fight, the oil in Turkana becomes a blessing to a few interested individuals. In Texas today, it takes about a week to drill oil and start selling. I don't know why it has taken so long in Kenya. The other thing is the education system. If we have a proper election, our children will not get the garbage that they are getting today. And somebody wakes up in the morning and says, it's 8 for 4. Wakes up another minute, it is CBC. Wakes up another moment, close schools tomorrow. Not considering it is because of poor political leadership that we have. The other challenge is the money that is circulating. Today it goes to 119 against the dollar because of poor political leadership. I was driving here, I don't know, I told you this road up here, and so many people are walking to work. Yes, we have very good roads, but because of poor political leadership, we didn't consider the majority of the road users when we were doing these development things. So this political season and the transition is very important to me as a Kenyan. I need to be counted as the people who decided or who took part in the change that we all need. I hear freedom is coming, and yes, it is coming. Whether it will be on Tuesday, nobody knows. But it is surely coming. I call it a revolutionary moment. I'm not very sure whether we are ready to revolutionize because of the hierarchy of needs. And the difference is, if I give Bitok 20 Kenya shillings, he is able to go and pay rent. If I give another person money, he is able to buy a vehicle. Our needs are different, and that is why it may not be a revolutionary moment as yet, but in the real sense.
Captain, let me tell you what this election means to me.
What does it mean for you?
And very many Kenyans across the country. The last 10 years, especially the last 5 years since the so-called handshake, has been an unmitigated disaster. People are really suffering, Gerald. People are broke. People are sick. People are dying. There is no money. Inflation is skyrocketing. Everything is expensive. People are jobless. Yeah, the economy is in tatters. If you look at where Kibaki left us and where we are now, minus the expressway and other infrastructure projects that we are worse off than we were. Yeah, all things considered. So this is a moment for us to really take stock and change the government for the better. As you said, freedom is coming. Indeed, it is coming. Yeah, I don't want to espouse any political affiliation. I mean, everyone is free to vote their way. But let me just say this. Be very careful who you vote for. If you vote for someone who is state-sponsored, yeah, you will actually be having more of the same. Yeah, it'll be a continuation of another 10 years of what we're going through right now. Yeah, and we don't want that, obviously. Sure. Yeah. And another thing, the Kenyans need to regain faith in public institutions. And that has been eroded over the last 5 years. And I can tell you why. The state has basically weaponized public institutions against its own citizens, such that if you're perceived as being against the state or against the powers that be, before you know it, KRA is knocking on your door. Yeah, before you know it, you have problems with CID or DCI. So with someone that asked earlier on, why don't people trust like DCI and the like? It is because of that. If you look at the guys that were prosecuted the last 5 years, there's the CEOs of Pipeline and KPLC. Where are those cases? What happened in those cases? They died. KEMSA and those people's careers were destroyed.
KEMSA actually never took off.
KEMSA didn't take off. Okay. Yeah. So it's because the state weaponized such institutions against its people and destroyed many lives in the process. But now freedom is going to come if we make the right choice. Yeah, we are going to now reach the so-called promised land.
And so for you, it means freedom is coming.
Freedom is coming.
For me, Bitok, what does this election mean for me?
Yes.
One, I don't want another Jubilee government.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't want another Jubilee government.
Yeah.
I don't want another Uhuru. Whether reincarnated, whether cloned, I don't want another Uhuru.
Even painted.
I don't want, even painted. Hata wakimvalisha sijui mavazi gani, I don't want another Uhuru. Because like KIRUI has said, if I go back to the late Hayati Mzee Kibaki, he left us with a debt of about 1.7 trillion, and the economy was doing very well. Yeah. I mean, there was money. People were fairly happy. Then the Jubilee government, they went into a borrowing spree. Yeah, up to now we are talking about 8-point-something trillion, going probably upwards of 9 trillion. One will expect that when you borrow and you invest, then your business will flourish. People will be happy. You'll expect that with borrowing, then the lives of people will improve. Today, Bitok, let me tell you, I don't know about you. You ran last time in Moiben, just like I ran as president of this country. Today, if you look at your SMSs, your messages, and the requests from people, it is really appalling. Yes. You don't know what to do because people are asking you for basics. Me, I get requests of somebody saying, please, to me 200, Nikule. 200 Kenya shillings. 100, 200, Nikule. Yeah? And you can see, and they're genuine. I know they're genuine. And this is like too many people. Reverse calls today, you're getting a lot. I never even used to know that there's a reverse call. You can actually on Safaricom.
Press one.
Yep. Yes. So
even KIRUI knows.
people actually, Kenyans are actually suffering. Yes. The situation is so bad. So for me, any semblance of Jubilee government coming back in this election, I don't want to speak like other people who say, I want to leave Kenya. I will not leave Kenya, but I pray. This is probably the only time I'll go and pray in church and say that, let's hope that we don't get another Jubilee government. So anything Azimio, I don't want it. Because remember, the head of Azimio is Uhuru Kenyatta. So he'll be convening the Azimio government. This is the guy who will be wanting to continue. And again, as a lawyer, I feel offended that somebody who has finished his 2 terms wants to come back as president or head of government through the back door. That I'm opposed to. So this election means a lot to me. And that's why I'm telling people, you really must vote. And I don't care what people say, but I must vote a candidate who will, for me, remove these 2 names from our political sphere. Odingas and the Kenyattas. Because Odingas is a continuation of the Kenyattas. And this is because of their vested interest. And Captain, this is why I was saying earlier on, I know I'll get a lot of abuse, especially from some people with the letters O's and the rest, even right now. But this is the brutal truth. We must speak about our country. Yes. We must be able to say, what has been the political cancer in this country for the last, say, 50 or so years? And me, I'm not afraid to speak about the fact that there are individuals in this country, or together with their families and their surrogates, who have actually personalized this country and made the rest of us look like we are chattels. Yes. We are their properties. I say no to that. And this is why this election for me is very, very important. You talked about people walking to work, and many, many of them. Do you know what that symbolizes? It symbolizes a collapse of an economy. When I was a student in the UK, and I must say I'm very lucky to have studied in a country like the United Kingdom, one of the major election issues is always transport. Transport. I must be able to walk 5 minutes maximum.
Public transport.
Public transport. Public transport. I must be able to walk 5 minutes to the bus stop, get into a bus, to the train station, to my place of work. When you see people walking en masse, the economy is collapsed. People do not have money in their pockets. There is no public transport. That is a sorry state of affairs. So this election for me means a lot. We are looking for a transformational leadership going forward. A leadership that will be able to say, how do we uplift the lives of Kenyans going forward? So, and I hope that Kenyans now going into this election will really pick their conscience and say, and one of the things I keep on advising Kenyans to do, please forget about the presidency for now. I want you to focus on your member of a county assembly and focus on your governor. Because of the people who are closer to you. Yeah? The presidency should come number 3, in my view. Although I know also the presidency can be able to shape certain direction that the country must take. So this election means a lot. I think it's turning a big chapter in our history. And a chapter that will, in my view, will remove certain dominant names in our politics, especially at the very top. And that's why for me, I'm not afraid to say, I'll vote, but not anything Azimio, nothing Jubilee.
Let me jump on that.
Yeah.
I think you also need to, so where will you vote?
Yeah?
Where will you vote?
What?
Many people want to hear, where will you vote then? Where's your vote?
I know
many people are following you. They want to know. President and wapi. You are a presidential candidate.
So let me explain this to you. Yes. Let me explain this to you. I told you last time that I will not vote anything Jubilee or anything being supported by Jubilee, and Jubilee is Uhuru Kenyatta. That I will never. Yeah,
It's not happening.
and I've also said to you that Odinga is a continuation of Kenyatta. So I will not go that route. So you know where my vote is.
In short, Daktari, in a very diplomatic way, he's saying he's going to vote for William Ruto.
No, you see, people have confused my decision not to vote Raila Odinga as supporting UDA. No, I don't support the UDA.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will vote.
You'll vote.
A candidate.
That we know.
That you can be sure I'll vote.
Okay.
But it cannot be.
You can be sure of two things. One, you'll vote.
You'll vote.
Two, you'll not vote for Raila.
Yes.
Okay.
Fear of contradiction.
Raila and Uhuru, actually. Let's see.
I share similar sentiments
we
with
can say that Uhuru and Raila.
Yes.
Okay.
Gerald.
Whichever comes first.
My sentiments, I'd like to associate myself with the comments that Daktari has made here also. But I will go a step further and say, I will state here without fear of contradiction. I'm going to vote for Kenya Kwanza. And I will tell you why. I have no issue with the retired Prime Minister. I respect him a lot as a statesman and as a freedom fighter, as someone who has really contributed a lot to our country. However, I think when I look at his campaigns, and what he's selling to us, it's a bit stale. And I think he's way past his prime also. Like the other day I was watching his rally, was it yesterday in Kakamega? His take on issues is very vague. He'll talk about Baba Care, he'll talk about maybe 6,000 per person, and then he starts whistling and bringing guys on stage to start jumping around. And I think we should be past that kind of politics as a democracy. I thought we should be a mature democracy. Tell me, give me issues. Tell me how exactly you're going to improve my life as a Kenyan. Yeah, and I don't know what Captain's thoughts are on the issue.
Before Captain comes in, and I hope Captain he should be annoyed when people talk about care, Baba Care. I think they are trying to copy Obamacare. Yes. Obamacare meant a lot for Americans because you could have counted for at least 20 million Americans benefited from that Obamacare. And it means really giving people a healthcare service. And it was targeting the downtrodden. Okay? So when people mimic serious democracies like America that actually mean something a lot for Kenyans. And I'm happy that Captain is here and he can explain exactly what Obamacare means. You see, I feel insulted. I don't know, you all remember 2020, 2021 when COVID was ravaging the world. Yeah? If really people cared about, healthcare in this country, why was NHIF not applicable in just treating Kenyans during a pandemic? A global pandemic. Now people are trying to use it politically to try and dupe Kenyans. And KIRUI, I agree with you. You see, one of the things that Kenyans really must take into this election is the lies. We must deconstruct the lies. Okay. Some of these associations, and Bitok, we spoke about it in one of your shows here. What do these coalitions actually mean? These coalitions means nothing. What you need to do is you need to deconstruct these coalitions and go to the individuals.
To the issues.
Who are forming, first individuals who are forming these coalitions. And look them with a microscope and say, who is this? Today, you look at the association of Raila and Mother Karua. Not long ago, Mother Karua was saying all the nasty things about Raila Odinga. What changed? So the lies, I hope Kenyans, and also the dishonesty. And part of the reason why I'm a little bit sympathetic to your candidate, of Kenya Kwanza, is because you see, when people say in the open that kumi yangu, kumi yako, there's a level of honesty we must really embrace as a country. Hata kuna ile inaitwa kurudisha mkono.
Hata kama unataka kuleta mkono,
at least rudisha mkono.
All right, moving forward, I want to open Bunge la Mwananchi in a few. There's a battle of numbers. Azimio are flashing opinion polls, and they've actually done a billboard on Thika Road towards Muthaiga, and they're saying the way they are leading and the president is trailing. The DP and Kenya Kwanza have also done conferences and spoke on it, and they have said we have the numbers. We have gained ground since 2017, and they are saying that the opinion polls are cooked. As me, I say yes, we are leading, and that is what the position is. The battle of numbers. As of you, Captain. Which is which?
Now, right at the moment, I don't want
numbers.
I may not go specific to the numbers because we have an illusion in Kenya today. Opinion polls resulted into someone believing that he is winning in the last general election. this illusion of numbers, we need to know who owns these opinion poll companies. And Kenyans must come out and understand that these are companies that are owned by interested parties. The other challenge is the media. When an opinion poll is released, mainstream media, it is released, it is given a highlight, and we believe that candidate A is winning against candidate B. But how were these opinion polls conducted? Who owns the companies? The challenge comes in. My friend Daktari Ruto goes to very huge campaigns, and they are full of people. And then at the end of the election, we don't see these results in terms of the results. So people need to come out and vote, because what count is not the opinion polls, what count is not the media briefings, what counts in an election is the vote. The vote.
But Captain, let me tell you something about opinion polls. Bitoki, if you may allow me. I've been approached, especially when we were doing Punguza Mizigo and even in 2017. What a pollsters ask you is, can you sponsor a question?
Can you sponsor?
Yes, you actually become an investor. One question, they charge you 60,000.
One question, 60,000.
One question.
Okay.
So when you sponsor an opinion poll, you can be sure it will be favorable to you. Because you have a vested interest in it. So that's how opinion polls happen here. It's money, it's business.
Kumesi pesa mingi hata 60.
60,000 per question. No, 60,000 per question, but they'll give you like say a couple of questions. So maybe on average they ask you like to pay 300,000, maybe 5 questions, because they will have to find a way of maybe, for example, Punguza Mizigo or vis-a-vis Jubilee or whatever. So they'll craft a few questions. So it's money making. And when you invest in it, you of course you have to recoup in it. So that's why opinion polls will look favorable to you. But having said that, the true and honest opinion poll in this election will be on the 9th of August 2022, on Tuesday. That is the genuine opinion poll. And that's when we will go and cast our ballot. Hii ingine yote ni ukarabati, you know. And by the way, when people put billboards showing how they are leading, there are many others where they have lost. They should also put opinion polls where they have also lagged behind. This is psychological warfare on Kenyans. It is meant to intimidate. And you see, for me, it's a sign of panic. For those who are actually losing this election. You spoke earlier around about the issue of who has gained what constituencies.
Yes, and that's what I wanted you to go into, the numbers.
The truth for the matter is, there is a candidate, a top-tier candidate in this election who has actually gained constituencies. There is one who has actually lost constituencies. So what miracle is this that will happen to this candidate who has actually lost a considerable constituency, including some of his backyards where people are very disgruntled about his politics. So I think for me it's obvious. I think the Kenya Kwanza guys will win this election.
That's it. Speaking numbers.
Let me jump in on this issue of opinion polls. Yes. First of all, in this week alone, there have been around 4 or is it 5 opinion polls that have been, it's almost on a daily basis now. Yeah. And you know what, as Daktari said, what these opinion polls are doing, they're trying to create a context or a background and trying to deceive Kenyans that a certain candidate is ahead and maybe now sway undecided voters. But it's not going to work. And another issue of polls, who are they asking? In my life, I have never been polled. I've never been approached by anyone. I've never been called. I've never been asked a question. So who are these people they're asking?
So we are 4 of us.
We are 4 right now.
Okay, I have never.
Have you been polled?
No.
General, have you been polled?
No.
Daktari, you've been approached?
I've been approached to sponsor to be polled.
Yeah, you've not been polled. So who are they asking?
4 of us.
Yeah, wanauliza nani hizi maswali.
And the reason they approached me is because they know our party leader, our party. I'm interested in politics. So they want me also to put in a poll results saying, Third Way Alliance Kenya or Punguza Mizigo is a popular initiative.
It's quite unfortunate. Right now, let's go to the numbers. When Mike Sonko Mbuvi went to vie for in Nairobi, he had the most of the numbers, the votes. He went to Mombasa, and that guy has a fanatical following. He went with it to
To Mombasa.
To Mombasa. And he was cheated for some reason. he went through the cleansing and he was given the candidacy. He would have vied in Mombasa. All of a sudden, democracy ruled and he didn't. He came back to the Kenya Kwanza. Don't you think that he came with the numbers from the Kamba region and the Mombasa region? I think he did.
You think he did?
I think he did.
All right.
There's one thing that is burning for me, and I think maybe we need to put it into perspective, even before we go to the Bunge la Wananchi. You know, you ask a very important question. What does this election mean for this country?
Yes.
You know, when I look at it in the wider spectrum and the history of this country, especially in the context of state capture, we need to ask the question, who has actually captured the state? Who are these elite who have captured the state? The names are known. Two big families. Yeah? So what does this election mean to me? This election means to me opening an avenue for any other ordinary Kenyan to be able to seek the top leadership of this country. If we continue with the state capture that's being sponsored by the Jubilee and Uhuru in particular, through his surrogates, we will never, a Bitok, a captain, or a Kirui will never become the president of this country, even in the next 15 or 20 years.
Or even attempt.
So for me, a change in the top leadership of this country actually opens up the debate, opens up the opportunity for as many Kenyans as possible to seek the top leadership of this country. But if we allow the state capture to continue, as being promoted by President Uhuru Kenyatta through his surrogates, let me tell you, we will have to wait forever because it's a continuation. At least, you know, with utmost respect, I would say that the Mois have rested. That family is gone because there is no political succession in that family. But at least we should be worried about the continuation by the Odingas and the Kenyattas. And I'm sorry to say this because for me, where I have reached, by the way, I just turned 50 the other day and I have nothing to worry about. What stands between me and life now is death. and that thing can happen anytime.
Miaka ya kuelekea kifo ni kidogo.
So I'm now on the 5th floor. So I think I consider myself now an elder man. I must speak the truth.
I'm following you.
Okay. Tuacha tufungue bunge kidogo. Bunge la Mwananchi 779-800-010. Bunge la Mwananchi liko wazi na bari ni 779-800-010. 779-800-010. Unaweza piga simu kuweza kuchangia. Mwana majamaa wa YouTube baba kidogo wamechangamka wanasema wanataka kuchangia. Wanataka bunge ifunguliwe. Okay. Njagi, by the way, what happened to our other Njagi friend, Paul Njagi from Canada? He was supposed to run for a seat in EKURU. He disappeared. Alienda wapi?
Give him a direct ticket.
He entered grass. Right.
I'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to look at the message. John Jaggi says, morning, gentlemen. I believe if piloted well, we can vote via our phones. I mean, we transact the most valued commodity, i.e. money, via phones. Joseph Anua, good morning to Peter. Good morning to you. Thomas Ocheng, freedom is coming as I vote for the 5th president, William Samoei, PhD, on the 9th of August. Let everyone observe peace. Okay. Joseph Anua, allow us to call. Simu iko wazi. Joseph Anua, 779-800-010, 779-800-010. Bernard Abuka, Accord, you are biased in your analysis when you talk about Jubilee. Why mention Raila? Okay. Bunge la Mwananchi, mambo vipi? Bunge la Mwananchi, mambo.
Hello?
Bunge la Mwananchi, good morning.
Habari asubuhi.
Salama sana boss, mambo vipi?
Ya mambo sawa. Sasa mimi nataka kuuliza. Okay, these people they decide wanasema opinion poll ni sponsored by other people. How come? When the same opinion poll that some 2-3 years ago saying that Ruto was ahead, and everybody was saying Ruto is ahead, and the opinion poll is just saying the truth. Now, when the same thing switches to the other side, then I think the most unstructured people in our country is elite. The people wanagonganisha wananchi. I really doubt their level of intellectual capacity to understand things on the face of it.
Okay.
Because today,
Nakusikia Nadi, proceed.
Yeah, so what I'm asking, how come, is there anything, okay, let me say, our politics is tribal.
Yes.
There is nothing. There is nothing like people are going to vote based on the freedom is coming or something else. Because how come when Ruto goes to West Nyanza, he is likely to attract a crowd, but that does not translate into vote. The same happens to Raila when he goes to Rift Valley. It can attract large crowds, but that does not translate into vote. So, does it mean people from Nyanza to turn out 99%?
Lakini upunguza sauti nyuma, kuna sauti unasikia tena pale nyuma inarudi.
People from the Rift Valley can turn 98% to vote for Ruto, and they cannot see anything good in Raila. So to me, I think that is the problem that we have, is that we are ethnic based, we are tribal, no matter how you want to frame it, unless we come out of our tribal cocoon. The politics is going to, in fact, 2022 is more of ceremonial than election, because it is already decided. Whether you call it justice or something, I think they have decided. The same way happened in 2007, the same thing happened in 2013, the same thing happened in 2018. The same thing that happened in 2017 is going to play in 2020. It's only that my candidate, who is William Ruto, is on the other side. But what is playing to be is exactly what I saw in 2017. So there is nothing new to this election that will make me feel like, okay, I will vote as my democratic right to vote, but there is nothing, whether I need to get there or not, there is nothing, because we talk of dynasty, it has been there since 1996. That is 30 years. In fact, I'm about 4 or 5 years. It has been there over 30 years. What is this thing that he has done, that he can tell, he can go to Western, tell them this is what I've been doing, or this what there is nothing. What is that he has done in the past, apart from telling us he fought for the second liberation and all those, but in the past. We don't go in the past. Let the young generation decide their discourse. Let them engage in their discourse. Let us not go back to 1970s. Those are relevant to what is happening. The challenges that were then is not what we have today. So allow generations to shape their course.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, all the way from the United States of America. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How you be talk?
Salama sana. Who am I speaking to?
This is Isaac. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
Seattle. Okay. Karibu kwenye bunge.
So it's always good. Asante sana. It's always good to listen to your show. Thank you very much to even your panelists there.
I appreciate
very good contributions.
I really appreciate.
So since what we are diaspora, we are watching Kenya. We are following Kenya. Kini, it's our country, even though we are far out here. Maombi mingi, and we are praying for the best on Tuesday. But a couple of things here, just as a contribution. It's really worrying, or it saddens me when I see unfair, when the state kind of takes sides. If Ruto is going to lose his election, it would be nice to see him lose, fairly. If Raila is going to lose his election, it would be very nice to see him lose, fairly. But it is kind of saddening when the officials are openly taking sides. That is something that is very worrying and very disappointing. And for people like us who kind of take pride with our country, Kenya, when we are out here. The other thing I heard you guys mention about, people mimicking, like, the Obamacare, mimicking Obamacare.
Yes.
And, there's one thing I would like to share with, my people back in Kenya. Currently here in the U.S., and I'm bringing this up because of trying to bring, put a point across of consequential leadership. Right now in the U.S., when I go to apply a job, I have two offers.
You have to
Every job I apply, I have two offers.
Okay.
Like the two places I can, that's how, the jobs are so many, so many jobs out there that we cannot even be able to, to accommodate all those jobs. How I wish that our country can get to that point where the government gets serious and puts all these programs in place where the young people can have jobs. So when you talk about when they say about Obamacare, I really hope they have put into it in what they are saying, because I know what Obamacare did for us here in the U.S.
Okay.
So that's about having a consequential leader. And opinion polls. I was watching JKL show the other night, and it was quite laughable when they were asked some hard questions by one of the panelists. That it was and they could not answer, and it was their own opinions. They've done their own opinion polls, so those opinion polls are quite laughable. Anyway, I'm wishing Kenya all the best. We are praying for you. We are praying for Kenya. And I think the good will prevail, and God has never let Kenya down. And this year will not be an election. Thank you very much for your show.
What does this election also mean for you?
Sorry?
What does this election mean for you, sir?
Sorry, say that again.
What does this election mean for you? Or what does it mean to you?
These elections mean to me, what it means to me is, I am supporting Ruto on the fact that I have listened to his manifesto, and I'm really praying and hoping that it's not just politics he's playing about. He looks like he has taken time to look at the issues that are really affecting the Africans, the Kenyans. And listen to the people, and whatever they came up with in the manifesto, it's something that I think, if given a chance, will work. How I wish that, I'm turning 45, and I still consider myself as a youth. How I wish that the next president or the next leader that we are going to elect are going to transform Kenya, so that we stop, talking about the same problems. Over and over and over again. So it reaches a point where people stop believing anymore with, and that's why people say, I'm not going to vote, because it's all the same. I kind of feel disappointed with Jubilee's government, because I think people had a lot of hope with Jubilee having two young people there, and they thought, okay, now they're going to think about that. So it's kind of very disappointing, and I hope that if it is a Ruto presidency, it's going to give people hope again. I think during Kibaki's time, people saw that, or people came to see that, oh yeah, I think things can get done, and things can change. But again, we have gone back to where people are feeling hopeless. That even if I go to these elections, it's just a waste of time. So this election means for me bringing back that hope that all is not lost.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in, sir. All right. Good morning. Jambo bunga la manyanchi mambo vipi?
Gerard, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Kenyo from Nakuru.
Yes, Kenyo. Talk to us.
And I needed to support submission by Dr. EKURU in regards to online voting, because I'm a member of ISPAC, and it's something that we do annually. So it's something that can be done.
Okay.
So, in fact, ISPAC being a credible institution in this country, they can borrow a leaf from them, and they can guide them on how to do that.
And in fact, because of that, my brother, LSK has now adopted actually online voting, and we copied from you. So thanks so much for that. I mean, it's possible, it's doable.
Yeah, it's doable. It's basically doable, and we normally do it from the comfort of our houses.
Absolutely.
And it's very credible. So I support you, Daktari.
Asante.
Haya, Kenywa.
Asante.
Uko na support kwa watu wana IKURU, wanasema wako na wewe. Na hajatuambia what the election means for him. Yeah, amesema tu kura iingie kwa system software. That is it. Bunge la Mwananchi 779-800-010 779-800-010. Haya, dakika 5 tu za mwisho za bunge, alafu tuingie last stretch. Na ninasema nambari ni busy. Ukipiga Joseph inaingia kwa waiting call. Unasubiri hapo. Sio tunapiga tu alafu unakata. unapiga inaingia kwa waiting room, kwa sababu kama mwenzako yuko kwa simu yako inasubiriwa hapo, alafu inaweza kuchukuliwa. Nambari ni hiyo 0779-800-010, 0779-800-010, 0779-800-010. I think on watu wa WhatsApp napiga hapa. Okay, let's get mambo vipi? Bunge la Mwananchi. Bunge la Mwananchi vipi? Bunge la Mwananchi.
Hello, Bunge la Mwananchi.
Jambo, mambo vipi?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly, sir. Please proceed.
Yes, my name is Victor from Texas, USA.
From Texas.
I had I want to contribute.
Okay, please contribute. Go ahead, sir.
So I've heard Dr. EKURU AUKOT talking, and it's kind of like talking what makes sense. Because I've been following Kenyan politics, and it seems to me like Raila has lost most of the constituents in 2017 compared to what we have faced. So when I see the opinion poll, it doesn't reflect that at all.
Okay.
We have lost more.
Okay.
And I think the Arsenal are winning in the consequence. But they might win the general election. Positive. So I'm just gonna wish the Kenyan to support this thing and keep the peace. No matter who wins, let them keep the peace. So it doesn't matter. After all, everyone will be the president for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much from Texas, and thank you Diasporans for also staying up late every single day to listen every single morning. That is evening on your end, to listen to us as we speak to the nation. It means a lot to us. Diasporans have been amazing support. Na tunakuja. You guys had said we come to Diaspora. We are coming. We have people wanato majitolea hapa. Tuko na kina jamaa wanaitwa kina Keja. Na Kenya wamesema, what is the problem bwana? Say, just get visa, I do the aeroplane.
Your visa that is taking 5 years to come to get now.
Sasa unajua sasa daktari alisema, hey, you know we have a president here. Na alisema atatumia system.
And I'm here, I'll give you I'll host you.
You lost us also.
Yeah, so it's very nice to hear.
That's Texas already?
Yeah, that's Texas.
Wacha tusikie mtu wa mwisho.
Yeah.
Mambo vipi? Bunge la Mwananchi.
Hello, Bunge la Mwananchi.
Good morning to you, how are you?
Good morning. I'm welcome.
Yo?
I want to support the idea of Captain say that this illusion of opinion polls must be solved, because somebody thinks it's like it's automatic that if somebody is winning opinion polls, he will automatically win in the general election.
Okay.
And that thing must stop. And for me, this means a lot, because as we look at for example, I'm supporter of Ruto. He has a manifesto that you look at it, you can make a change. Because they are just putting action.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my point.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Bunge la Mwananchi, jambo. Bunge la Mwananchi. Good morning. And there's a diaspora line. Come. Good morning, how are you?
Hello?
Yes, nakusikia. Please proceed. I can hear you.
Yeah. My name is Sam.
Okay, from?
Yeah.
From Washington, D.C. Okay, please proceed, sir.
Yeah. My view is that EKURU AUKOT is speaking the majority's mind.
Okay. Na ongea na sauti kidogo. We are struggling to hear you. Ongea na sauti kidogo.
Only the fool cannot see what's going on. The lies and know what is going on. So we are with
we can hardly hear you. We can't hear you, sir. We should give you a thing. I don't know. Kama ako kazini anajaribu kufinyilia simu katikati ya kazi. Another diaspora line that was coming in. Kavita, I think from Kavita is from where? Some Kavita from diaspora line as well. Sprint no wapi. Okay. +1. That is spoken. United States spoken.
Yeah, spoken.
Your WN nini?
Washington.
Washington
State.
Washington State.
Yeah.
Okay. Yamesamka vita kama simu yake ilipotea. Haya, tunaomba kufunga bunge la mwenyeji kwa sasa ndio tuweze kuingia kwenye mjadala tena. Labda tupata wakati tutarudi pale. Haya. Gentlemen, you've had mtanza nayo. Mtu host wetu wa Texas.
Yeah, let me
good morning.
First of all mention just 3 things from the people who have spoken. One, the diasporians are praying, but we also must act. It was a total sacrifice when the IEBC gave an option or an opportunity to go and register to vote. But it was difficult for some of us because of the distance. I hope that as we get to the new government, they will think beyond whatever they gave us. So the diasporians, I just request you, yes, pray. Talk to your relatives. You send money to them. You pay school fees for them. You buy food for them. Give them an ultimatum or a condition. Yeah. I'm not going to send you any money until you show me that finger. Yeah, because you may not. No, we know. Anaweza paka, lakini some of them are not that. They are not that smart. So give them that, motivate them to go and vote on your behalf. That is the thing. The other thing is, the other thing that was mentioned is peace. One of the biggest requests from us in the diaspora is Kenyans, please, let's maintain peace during this election. Go vote, sit behind your screen and wait for the result. And for the politicians, accept the outcome. Whatever will be announced through those forms, we have invested so much money in those forms. They are not just papers.
Billions.
We have invested millions. And a lot of billions and brains. Yeah. So accept the results. It doesn't matter the margin. If in America, they accept the results from the popular vote to that college, whatever they call it. Electoral college. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we accept the result. The third thing is the next government should work towards industrializing our nation. We need to industrialize Kenya so that we can create jobs. I don't have to come from Turkana or from Makueni or from Mombasa to come and work in the city. Let us open small industries in our villages so that we can have employment opportunities for these very energetic, very educated, and the majority of the young people. And last but not least is let us avoid this issue of tribal politics. It doesn't matter if Uhuru has been the president in Kenya or Kibaki for the 10 years. I don't get anything from them individually. It doesn't matter. Let us get rid of this issue of it has been Kalejins for 24 years. It has been Luo for I don't know what. It has been, what is the benefit when they employ a minister from my village? It benefits him as an individual, but not me as a community. So let us get rid of this tribal politics, and we are going to change the next the Kenya for the better.
Let me just Captain Kidogo. Also, I've also 3 takeaways from our discussion that we just had today, and also from the callers. One, bars should be closed on the eve of elections. I strongly believe that. In fact, story. Wafunge mapema. In fact, Kisumu Governor Nyang'nyongo has issued an edict that bars in Kisumu shall be closed, I think, from midnight, which is midnight is late. At midnight, someone is already very drunk. I believe that government should actually say, by like we did for the census, close bars by like 7, 8. You can go to where the spirits and imbibe in your house. So guys can wake up in the morning fresh and vote. And then after voting, kama una alama, you're not admitted to your bar of choice. I think that's because voter apathy can actually lose this election for some people. We need everyone to come out and vote. Every single vote counts. Yeah, so we need to turn out the vote. What was Ilewe sana?
TV. You sound like that mzee from Mumbai who said Migori. Musilale na bibi yako that day or girlfriend.
Raila has been saying that. He's been advising our wives that we should not go. We should not approach them. She's been as a one after election. Another second thing, as Captain has alluded to, the outcome of the election. We already know whoever loses is going to go to the Supreme Court. All things being equal, we should have a new president elect maybe a week from now, and then he'll be sworn in end of the month. But that's not going to happen. Whoever loses, whether it's by 1,000 votes or by 1 million, is going to go to the Supreme Court. And they're going to have a long-winded process. There is assuming we don't go for runoff, of course. They have a long-winded process. Before you know it, I saw a certain a matrix that if you have a runoff and the election is nullified and then or so on and so on, we could have the next president being sworn in as late as April next year. There are certain scenarios that have been gamed out where it can actually happen like that, and I fear Christmas may come and go before we have a new president, and it's very bad for the economy. Yeah, and as we said, Uhuru needs to go like yesterday. And number 3, regarding the issue of state capture, Kenya is basically, we're right now living in we're a feudal society. For the listeners who don't know what a feudal state is like, where you have peasants who are toiling the land for the benefits of their overlords. Like for those who used to watch the show Game of Thrones, remember the Lannisters and the Starks, and then you have the peasants like Bitok and Kirui who are toiling the land and for the lord who's living on the castle Lukoju. That is what we've become as Kenya right now, and we really need to change this narrative where only the sons of the rich and the wealthy can get power, which is why I'm very inspired when I see a son of a chicken seller come from where he has come and really provide a very powerful narrative, because it inspires the younger of our generation. I can talk to my daughter and say, if I come and miss Julikani, you can make something of yourself and also arise to the top echelons of this society. So those are my 3 takeaways from our discussion right now. I'm sure Dr. is very eager to jump in.
Okay, so for me, I think one of the things that I gleaned from the conversation from the callers is the idea of a younger generation taking over leadership in this country. And maybe it is time we remind Kenyans. I don't know how many of you could recall, but I do recall when right from my nursery days, primary, secondary, and up to university, I was always told, you are tomorrow's leaders. You are tomorrow's leaders. Primary comes and goes. Secondary, you are tomorrow's leaders. University, you are tomorrow's leaders. Now we are married, we have children, we are on the 5th floor now. We are about to retire. We are still being told you are tomorrow's leaders. So I think what that caller said is that, he reminded us of the wisdom of Frantz Fanon, that every generation must discover its mission. You fulfill it or you betray it. And I think that's really the challenge now for Kenyan younger generation. And I think the younger generation in Kenya should stop saying that we are the largest, we have the demography. Do something with your demography. Because there is a benefit in longevity in life when you're in leadership. You want a better society for yourself and for your children. I think the elephant in the room is that our country has been sort of auctioned to a certain generation that now are feeling intimidated and do not want to let go. And I think the younger generation now needs to make no apology about that. It's about us. We are not even borrowing examples from the rest of the world. Bill Clinton in the United States, one of the most successful presidents in America, became president at the age of 42, I think, if I'm not wrong. Justin Trudeau in Canada, Emmanuel Macron at the 40s. Even Obama became president at the age of 44 and retired, and successfully left a good economy. We're talking about Obamacare right now, respectability to the American. So why are we not aping that in the context of Kenya? Why is it that we are singing narratives and dancing in political rallies for a generation that's already retired, enjoying retirement benefits? There is a law. Just to bring back this into context, there's somebody who's already complained that is this Sharia wiki or Siasa wiki? So let me remind him a little bit of Sharia this week. There is a law called the Retirement Benefits Act, into bracket designated persons, former prime ministers, vice president, chief justice, deputy chief justice, and the rest. So unfortunately, and this is the context of this generational gap, some of these people who are already enjoying benefits of the Retirement Benefits Act are actually still seeking the leadership of this country. It is unfair. It's against the law. And that's why, Bitok, I've said that Chebukati, in qualifying some of the individuals to run for president of this country, broke the law, the Retirement Benefits Act, which, for example, benefits people like Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, the former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, and the former Deputy Chief Justice Nancy Barasa, and the rest. So these are people already who are enjoying a benefit, a retirement benefit. Every month, we pay rent for them. We pay staff for them. Every 4 years, we give them new motor vehicles. So why are these people still benefiting from the public coffers twice when they are seeking the presidency? So the question of generation, a younger generation taking over this government, is very apt and it's very ripe. It must take place right now. Lastly, Bitok, the question of leadership in a country must derive for all of us what we call in law a common good. What is the common good that must come from leadership? The leadership must be able to make all of us look comfortable. That I must have faith, whether I'm from Turkana, I'm from wherever, I must have faith in my president, in my deputy president, in the cabinet secretary. Today, we, people from Kapedo and Peyton Ward, are mourning. On Tuesday, Pokot bandits burned a village called in Napeyton, and they burned 7 people alive, including children. I shared this information with the Karanja Kibisho. I shared this information with Matiangi, because I've got their contacts. I sent them images. I even sent them the intelligence. But instead, they ignored me, and all they are talking about is imagined violence in Rift Valley, imagined violence in Nyanza. So I ask myself, what confidence do I have with a cabinet secretary, a national cabinet secretary, a PS for interior? So the point I'm trying to make, Bitok, is this. A leadership in a country, whether you're a cabinet secretary or PS, must have a common good for everyone. And that's the only way we can say we belong to this country in equal measure. Because if there is actually differential treatment of the citizen of this country, whether by way of a new government or whatever, this is what drives a rift between us. This is why I start looking at, my brother Captain here as a Kikuyu. I look at Kirui as Kalenjin. He looks at me as, and these are some of these things that actually make people invest emotionally negative into their affairs. Because Turkanas now are having a conversation, after you oil, wacha tufunge. We don't need. Yet this should benefit Kenyans generally. Yeah. It goes to the question of leadership. How do you steer a country to a state of prosperity? That, for me, is what I derive, and this is what this election really ought to mean for us.
But we forgot to mention the issue of the manual register. Because the guy is saying this siasa wiki, we can talk about Sharia.
Yes.
So, there is a ruling on the matter.
I also want to remind Kenya that now is the season of political decision.
We have to talk politics.
So tunakutanisha sheria, the legal issues in the politics.
Yeah.
Wanasiasa Kenya vitu tunauliza, is it legal or is it illegal?
In politics, it's an extension of the law.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like this recent ruling on the manual register, one thing people need to understand, Chebukati has been very clear. The manual register is going to be used complementary to the KIMS kits. Basically, so when I go and vote, if for any reason my biometrics don't turn up on the system, there's already they have, first of all, the manual register is basically a duplication of the digital one. People keep thinking it's some foreign thing that's going to add votes or make them win. The manual register is basically a printout of what's there in the KIMS kits. Yeah. And even recently, the ABC have said this week, in fact, the reason they closed schools early is because they wanted to allow each polling station to post the register of voters on the door, which is already being done. That's the manual register. So it's nothing really special or earth-shattering that's going to happen. So if I go vote, for some reason, maybe some people don't have fingers. Yeah, some people don't have their biometrics.
But how did they register?
I could have lost my fingers the last 5 years.
People are just misunderstanding. It's an alternative way of verifying.
Yeah.
For example, I remember when I voted last election, I voted Kapedo primary girls. I couldn't. The BVR thing did not work for me. But they looked at the register and they confirmed. I'm a registered voter. I've got my voter registration. I've got my ID. So even there's a time, I think in 2007, Raila Odinga's name was missing in Kibra. And yet he has been voting. He has been a member of parliament. So, but I think, Kirui, there is one thing that we really must not forget.
Yeah.
And for me, I mentioned this with the seriousness it deserves. The role of the so-called provincial administration.
Yes.
And now the use of chiefs. You know, this is one of the reasons why in the Punguza Mizigo bill, we had said that we dissolve provincial administration. Because that duplication, it actually goes against Article 6 of the Constitution, where on the devolution of state organs. You see, there ought to be a relationship between the national government and the county government. But these people are in between here, they're actually interfering with the relationship between the national and the county government. And that's what we must cultivate. You see, even if you look at their role today in this election, they are being used, they're being manipulated.
Yes.
And these are people, to me, I don't see their function, to be honest. Today, I don't need provincial administration. All I need to do, I can empower the OCS, the OCPD to handle matter security in the county.
It's a colonial relic, actually.
It's a colonial relic. So, and you see, they are being used by the national government. They are very disrespectful of the county government.
Yes.
This county government is elected, just like the national government. So, but these people are just appointees, and they are still in that colonial time. And, you know, if you look at the transitional provisions in the Constitution of Kenya, we had actually proposed, I think it must be Section 17, if I'm not wrong, of the transitional provisions of our Constitution. We had said that abolish provincial administration or restructure it to fit with the devolution government. But now the allegiance is totally the national government. And that's why you can find someone like Matiang'i, even though he talks tough, I'm telling him, during this election week, as you wait for the election to be cast, people are being killed in Turkana.
It's quite unfortunate.
People have died, and they have done nothing about it, but instead they are busy imagining and preparing for violence that is not there. I was telling them there is violence happening right now. People have lost lives in this place. Call even the area chief, call even the area MP or the area MCA. They have refused. But they are saying, oh, we think there will be violence in Rift Valley, there will be violence in Nyanza. I mean, what kind of cabinet secretary is this? And you know, you can imagine, we talk, this is me, EKURU AUKOT, not because, there's nothing to, I'm not bragging about it, but these are people I know. Personally, I even have their contact. If they can ignore someone like me, who knows them, who has their contact, can you imagine how they treat the ordinary Kenyan? I'm ordinary too. But I think I've got a certain advantage of privilege in knowing these people. I can call them. I can send them messages. I can see the blue ticks that they have actually read. Yes, they have actually read my message on WhatsApp.
Unless they have seen
so
it.
they cannot say they have not seen it. You, the other Kenyan who do not have their numbers, who cannot knock on their door, go and report. Will they even listen to you?
No, will be arrested.
So it's unfortunate. And I'm reporting a serious thing. Loss of life. You know, arson, destruction of property. And these are people who are in charge of our security. If they can ignore someone like me who knows them, who are even considered as friends, one of them even were club members, you know, in a private members club. So, I mean, honestly, can you imagine the disdain with which they treat the ordinary mwananchi who does not know them? It's unfortunate.
It's quite unfortunate. And instead of sending the security to where it matters, we saw the issue of this Bukungu Stadium.
Big lockdown.
And Tononoka. It's quite unfortunate. So we need to have that one sorted. And a nation that cannot protect its citizen, it's said to be a failed state. We invest so much in security, and so Kenyans have a right to be protected. It doesn't matter the reason, it doesn't matter the season, it doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter. As long as we are within the borders of this nation, we demand our right to be protected, even during an election. And if we want to really say there is no what was called a state capture, then do the right thing. The issue of passing over power to the next generation, it is a matter of what I call the servant leadership. Since we didn't train the next generation, we don't trust that they will be able to do whatever we have been doing. And so we need to have these leaders train and pass on knowledge to the next generation so that we can be confident that when we retire, they will take care of our property.
All right, that's it, gentlemen. Let's see if we can look at the newspapers. Magazeti zinasema nini? Asubuhi tuone gazeti. Hizi ya kufunga nyama, ni ya kufunga screen.
You say nothing.
Okay, all right. The Daily Nation, the register behind the fight. Mambo ya chaguzi wanasema kuna shida ya register kidogo. Register behind the fight. Manuel Odigito, I think we've discussed that as well. Ruto alleges sinister plot in press briefing. I think we've also looked at the suspicion of rigging. KRA starts probe of Kakuzi in tax evasion allegations. Moi leaves family with shillings 5.1 billion bill for land wrangles. Oh yeah. Even the rich cry.
Excuse me. This particular issue of
Kakuzi. Tax evasion, yes.
The Kakuzis. And this
capital flight.
These big institutions, we need to be very careful because of we are calling for industrializations and job creation. Is it possible for these regional governments, the devolved governments, to be careful not to interfere with the multinationals or in industries that are creating jobs in the issue of tax evasion? We saw what is happening with EKURU. So we need to be very careful in this issue.
I agree with that. I mean, the government needs to protect industries as much as possible, especially multinationals, because they're very big employers. However, to do with state capture, remember like the day, the VP debate, the Gazette notice that Rigathi read. Some big multinationals, banks that are owned by the who's who, are basically even evading tax. They're not avoiding, evading. Because they're being exempted from paying tax and that kind of thing. And that leads to what we were discussing earlier on the state capture. But I agree with you. The state needs to actually nurture companies, big and small. But one thing I like about Kenya Kwanza's manifesto, they've said the same way that they protect big companies like KQ, bailing them out, is with the same gusto they're going to also protect the little guy. If KQ can receive 300 billion bailout, why not Mama Mboga and her ilk?
The small businesses.
And the small businesses.
That got,
especially
bust in 2020.
People have been locked out of access to credit right now because of CRB, because COVID really ravaged businesses. Kila mtu na mama yake kwa CRB. So mtu anaenda benki kuomba loan anawezi patiwa. Because of things like that. So we need a government that's actually going to protect everyone's interests, not just the multinationals. You and I as well.
All right. Zirikana nyingine. Steve, mbele magazeti. Okay. Looking at the Star, Raila and Uhuru attack Ruto over rigging claims. Odinga says he doesn't need provisional administration for clean victory against the DP. Last leg, DP said Kenyatta is aware of night meetings convened to undermine polls. The People Daily, IBC must use manual voters list is on the ruling. A victory for Azimia, which wanted Chebukati to identify voters using printed register, as court agrees with activists. Uhuru, I have fulfilled my pledges. It's on page 7. Raila, Ruto, final showdown. I don't know. You have any comments on that, Doctor?
I don't know. When Uhuru says he has fulfilled his pledges, I wonder which ones. I mean, I wish he could actually just recount for us what are these pledges that he has fulfilled. For example, I know they like bragging about, for example, the infrastructure, say, the Nairobi Expressway, but they are also not disclosing to Kenyans how much it costs us and what it means going forward. A lot of Kenyans do not know that the Nairobi Expressway is costing us 88 billion Kenya shillings for only a 27-kilometer expressway. They don't know that there's another 17 billion that's been set aside to reconstruct the lower level, and then there's another 6 billion that will be set aside for. I mean, has already been set aside for managing it. I don't know, for whatever period, and that's costing us in total 117 billion Kenya shillings.
For 27 kilometers.
Yes, for 27 kilometers.
More than SGR.
Yes. Now, if you contrast it with, for example, the expressway from Entebbe to Kampala, it's nothing compared to it. You contrast it with the SGR from Ethiopia to Djibouti, nothing compared to it. Contrast with the SGR from Dodoma to Dar es Salaam, nothing compared to it. And the president has also admitted that we lose 2 billion every day, in this country to corruption. And he threw his hands in the air to say, what do you want me to do? So if the commander-in-chief of this country, the person who commands the armed forces, the airways, whatever, the air forces, the police and whatever, says, I don't know what to do, then, and see, takes us back to what this election means. Should we then elect anybody that this man who says, I am unable to fight corruption? Should we then even consider who he supports. So I don't know what Uhuru's legacy is, what the pledges are, because I was in this country 2013 when they promised our children 1 laptop per child. I've not seen that. I was in this country also 2017 when they said there will be stadia in Chogoria, I don't know, Wajir, Sjiwapi, Kimarin, and all those things. When they promised 3 million jobs per year, when they promised bundles in every ward in this country, I was here. So I don't know what. I mean, I have seen how, for example, Kenyans suffered during the COVID-19. This country did not come to bail them out. We talked about 7 million small businesses that actually went bust in 2020-21 because of COVID. The government never rescued. Those are businesses that are actually feeding ordinary Kenyans. So when he talks about fulfill my pledges, I don't know which ones are these.
Who is a very funny guy. The other day he was alluding to corruption by his deputy. He was saying walianza safari pamoja kwa gari, lakini vile things were going, the changes were getting back. Basically, everything was going to be purified. But I was asking him, what I had to ask him, if that is the case, if indeed you strongly believe that your deputy was corrupt as you allege, why didn't you say something? Why wait for 1 week before the elections to do something, surely? And then why also make him your deputy running mate for the 2017 election? If indeed your deputy was a corrupt man as he has alleged in Aliba Sana from the word go, then we should have a different DP by now. 2017 he should have picked someone else.
But you see, he has not even made the move to say, okay, this is a corrupt person. Let me tell you, let's go back to Sharia Wiki. You who alleges must prove. Yes, indeed. And if you accuse someone of being a thief, at least give us the evidence. I know there's corruption in government. Uhuru cannot also absolve himself that his government is clean because it is not clean. He himself has actually led a very corrupt government in which he himself has admitted we are losing billions, 2 billions every day. So you cannot tell me as the President of the Republic of Kenya, you lack capacity to establish where these billions are being lost. Everybody agrees NYS lost billions, 2.1 billion some point, I don't know how many billions the other. Money got lost. How does anybody access the IFMIS system? Treasury, because this money is banked. It's in treasury. How does anybody access that money? An ordinary Kenyan bank that money. How does Kavura, the saloonist, go into a government department, walk away with a rucksack full of billions of Kenyan shillings? How does she do that? So I think I'm not holding anybody's brief here. I agree with the president. We lose money every day because the audit report actually shows it. The Auditor General report shows that we actually lose money. But if we know exactly who is this thief is, why not prefer charges? President Uhuru himself was actually charged at the International Criminal Court because there were allegations against him and his deputy, and they were prosecuted. Even though the case was declared a mistrial, meaning that it's not yet over for them, it will probably come to haunt them at some point. But at least there was a charge against him and his deputy. So why not even bring a charge against this deputy president if we know that he's actually a thief or he has stolen? This is inciting, by the way. It's inciting because the truth for the matter be talk is this. As evidence. Or even just say how this guy steals. Surely, how can somebody who sits in government at the very top level be a thief, a known thief, and you don't charge them?
It's wrong. It's very painful to be accused when someone is at the highest level like that in a public forum and they're not giving you any evidence. It's very painful, and it actually goes against the rules of natural justice. And you saw the other day, yesterday, the DP looked very sad, and then during the press conference they called to discuss all these issues of the vote rigging that's maybe allegedly taking place. You can see the DP looks very. He's really been accused falsely and harassed by the government. The government is very powerful.
Let's put it in perspective. It is common knowledge that the Kenyatta family is one of the richest family, not just in Kenya, but in Africa.
Okay.
But it's also common knowledge. We do not know exactly how they acquired that wealth, especially land.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Is it today fair for me to say Uhuru is a thief? Is it fair? I mean, let's just ask that question. We know that his family is rich. They have acquired so much land in Coast, in Taita Taveta, in Rift Valley, in Nairobi, in central Kenya. Central Kenya here. Kiambu, where the agitation for land, for freedom of this country started. And in 1965, they started by displacing the population. And they took them to Mpeketoni, they took them to Rift Valley in Molo, they took some of them elsewhere. And then they grabbed that land. So is it fair for me to say Uhuru Kenyatta is a land grabber without putting evidence?
No, it's not.
So is it fair to say William Ruto is a thief?
It's very unfair.
So you see, if you can accuse one of the things I know they have refused to put on the table, Bitok, is the Ndungu Commission on Irregular and Illegal Allocation of Land. Because if you table that report, put it here on the table, and we read the list, you know where we start? Kenyatas, Mois, Kibakis, provincial ministers, provincial commissioners, whatever, strictly in that order. Before we even come to a Bitok, whether Bitok has 100 by 50. Najua uko naye pia, lakini
Ile kidogo nimengangana naye.
Umengangana naye. Lakini But let's be brutally honest. You cannot say that somebody is a thief without actually placing. We are a country of laws.
Indeed.
We are a country of laws. And today we see many people being. Gachagua was dragged to court the other day that he benefited from proceeds of corruption. Now, if your family owns this land that you cannot even account for, isn't that a proceed of corruption?
It is.
And that is where we
So
have to...
why is Uhuru shooting himself in the foot?
Unfortunate.
Maybe he doesn't have a foot.
Or maybe he doesn't have a gun.
You see, that is where we have a problem, where we politicize the fight against corruption. We use it as a political tool. We politicize the issue of tribe because I am from tribe A. When we fight corruption, we should start from this end to this end. When anybody who is corrupt, that particular panga will slash corruption. Doesn't matter whether it is from Raila. We have had issues from him. It doesn't matter whether it is from Ruto. We have had issues from him. But it is corruption. When we fight the issue of a crime against the tribal clashes and political animosity, we should use a combined harvester. Because it happened in the last general election, or in 2008, 2007. It was not only in Rift Valley where people were killed. It happened in Naivasha, it happened in Kisumu, it happened in Nairobi, it happened. But we use that as a weapon to fight an individual.
But by the way, I think for me, let me give Uhuru Kenyatta an unsolicited advice. Stop double speak, Mr. President. Because you are the same person who told us about 2 years ago that we are going into life